member of the church should take hold of the medical missionary work. The world is a laser house filled with victims of both physical and spiritual disease. Everywhere people are perishing for lack of a knowledge and the truth that have been committed to us. The members of the church are in need of an awakening that they may realize their responsibility to impart these truths. This ministry, and that's the Centurion ministry, believes that by using the entering wedge of practical therapies for the sick, greater success will attend the presentation of the gospel. Jesus did more healing than preaching. It is my privilege to introduce to you Elder Mamon Wilson. But before he comes, Sister Camille James will give us our song of meditation.
Day by day, and with each passing moment, strength I find to meet my trials here. Trusting in my Father's wise bestowment, I've no cause for worry or for fear. He whose heart is kind beyond all measure gives unto each day what he deems best. Lovingly, it's part of pain and pleasure, mingling toil with peace and rest. Every day the Lord himself is near me with a special mercy for each hour. All my cares he fain would bear and share me. He whose name is Counselor and Power, the protection of his child and treasure, is a charge that on himself he laid. As thy days, thy strength shall be in measure. This the pledge to me he made. Help me then in every tribulation, so to trust thy promises, O Lord, that I lose not faith's sweet consolation, offered me within thy holy word. Help me, Lord, when toil and trouble meeting, ere to take as from a father's hands, one by one, the days, the moments fleeting, till I reach the promised land. Help us, Lord, when toil and trouble meeting, ere to take as from a father's hand, one by one. The days, the moments fleeting, till we reach the promised land. Amen.
Good afternoon, everyone, and good evening and good afternoon, just depending on who you are. My name is Mamon Wilson, and it is my pleasure to be able to talk about something that has been a part of my life for many years, probably most of my life. A brief word of prayer here, and then we'll get started. Father, which art in heaven, dear Lord, thank you once again. Father, we are grateful to be alive and for to see so many wonderful things transpiring as we make preparation to hasten your coming. Bless us now, Lord, as we talk on these subjects, Lord, that it would be an encouragement. And Lord, it will help someone as they go through this troubled time of life. Bless us in Christ's name. Amen. You know, we're going to be talking about cancer. And once again, cancer has been a big part of my life. My mother died of lung cancer when I was very young. And I remember about 9 years old, I remember asking the doctor, could he fix my mother? He said, son, there's no fix for your mother. And, you know, I really thought that they could do anything. I thought these was really smart people, but he said he couldn't do it. But I was determined that one day I want to find a way to defeat cancer. And I committed myself that I would be a doctor and a research doctor. And at 9 years old, and somehow I found cure for cancer. I didn't know how God would lead me, but he led me in a pathway not of my choosing. And he led me in a way that I could glorify his name. And I just thank him for it because it's been a wonderful experience. I didn't go to medical school. There was no need. God didn't want me to go to medical school. I thought that that would be my destiny, but he had a better work for me. I moved up in the mountains of Pulaski, Tennessee, and I lived up there for years. And I studied with a mountain man. He taught me a lot about how to survive in the wilderness, and taught me a lot about nature, herbs of the field, and he taught me a lot about the gospel of Jesus Christ. He taught me how to see, not with my eyes, but with my brain. He taught me how to feel, not with my hand, but to touch people, infirmities. He taught me how to listen, not with my ears, but to listen with my heart. And that three fundamental principles have led me to use that as a basis for teaching, because most people don't see, they don't listen, and they don't feel, because they're dependent on, you know, the eyes, the hand, the ears, and that's not a way to listen, feel, or see. And so you have to relearn again. God taught me how to analyze and to use the brain that he had given me. We only use a small percentage of our brain power. But if we can use at least 20% of it, we'd be much more knowledgeable than any man since the patriarchs and since Adam's in them days. So I stayed up there and I lived up there in the mountain, and I studied anatomy. I studied body chemistry, food chemistry. I studied disease, and I studied herbology. And God prepared me for this work. I know He called me to do it because I had other plans. And it's been a wonderful journey. It really has. I've had a wonderful life. I've seen miracles. I've had disappointments also. And I remember when I first began to work with cancer, and I worked with cancer for nearly 20 years. I didn't do anything else, mostly cancer and AIDS. And I remember that nearly everyone that came to my facility got well. And they seemed to all recover. And then after a period of time, people began to, die and didn't recover. And that was a shock to me because I thought that no one would never die if I followed God's plan. But they began to die. And that was discouraging. So God brought me down from that mountaintop. But He took me to the highest abyss to let me see what could happen if I trust in Him, that the time would arrive that we could heal the sick, restore the sight of the blind, even raise the dead. I saw that reality. And so, but now the reality of the fact is I work with a lot of people, and a lot of them do get well and some don't. But it's okay. As long as I know that I have given them all that God has given me, and I have not neglected to share with them the love of Jesus Christ. And when I have reached my limit, then of human effort, I totally depend on God and relieve myself of the burden and lead them in the hands of God. So I don't want you to think that if I work with you, I work with your loved one, it's guaranteed. And that's what a lot of people think. It's guaranteed they're going to get freed of their condition. I would never say that. But I would say that you stand the best chance in following God's program. So in talking about cancer, I want to do something here. And I know many of you are burdened and you have some concerns. Loved ones, your neighbors, people are sick. And these things are concerning you. People's talking about prostate cancer. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about breast cancer and lung cancer. And some of you know people that have these problems. And how can we most effectively help these people? And there's a lot of medical missionaries working, and they're doing a wonderful job. There's a lot of disappointments. And I want to really probe into some of the things that can make your treatment protocol as successful as it possibly can. And I think the years of me working with so many different types of cancer every day over the last 56 years have enabled me to understand the language of cancer. You see, in the beginning, the doctor said, "You won't surely die." He meant that. Now, some of you may think he lied, but he didn't. He told the truth. Understand what I'm saying. The devil said, "Ye shall not surely die." Did he tell the truth? He did. He told absolute truth. And so what he was talking about is that cancer cells don't die. They don't die. They keep replicating until one single cancer cell make a mass of cells clump together and make a tumor that metastasize throughout the system. And when cancer cells die, it leaves genetic materials behind that program the future cancer cells to carry on the same devilish attack that he started when he was alive. And so he actually told the truth. So if we can understand this, to me, this is the thing that I've been so excited about, because if cancer cells don't die and it leaves behind genetic material, our programming that will program the future cancer cells to carry on the same destruction that he carried on in his time period. If we can stop that programming, if we can disrupt that, we can stop cancer from metastasizing. We can bring an end to cancer. You see, cancer is very, very easy to cure. It really is. And that's only if you catch it in the first stage, when it's localized. It's very easy. But when cancer metastasizes, secondary cancer, it is very difficult to cure. Because by that time, the cancer has a head start. You see, cancer doubles, go through what we call a doubling time. It keeps doubling, increasing. And so it has a period of doubling. And so with this doubling time, by the time it metastasizes, it has doubled so much that it's going to be almost impossible for your immune system to be able to challenge and stop it. So, I was listening a little bit when the moderator asked, what is cancer? Cancer is not a single disease, but rather it is the disease that has many different names to really determine its function and location. It is a condition by which the cells are operating uncontrollably, and it keeps going through mitosis, cell division, without anything to regulate it. And so once it reaches its full cycle, it die and leave genetic material behind that program the future cells to continue to work. And that's the way it works. So let me ask, as you listen to me, and some of you was talking about prostate cancer. And once again, now this is a preview of the common classes we're going to have around the end of May. So I'm not going to get real in-depth into a lot of things here today. I don't really have time to do that. But I'm giving you a preview of it. And I'm hoping I can cover enough so it can help you to understand we're going to unmask cancer. And we're going to do a little of that today. But doing those training sessions in May, we got plenty of time. We're going to unmask it, and we're going to defeat this deadly foe. But you're going to have to commit yourself to study and research if you intend to be effective against cancer. Now, cancer will affect nearly every one of us, either our family members or our neighbor. You're going to have it. I have had it. So we really need to get in the forefront of it. So let's talk about prostate cancer to begin with. Well, prostate is that male organ in the lower abdominal area, about the size of a walnut. And it actually controls and regulates the male hormone, testosterone. And men and women both has testosterone. A man actually have 10 times more testosterone than a woman has. Testosterone is what gives a man stamina and strength and endurance. Well, women have it too, but they have a small amount of it as a whole. Now, a woman can build more testosterone. She can do that to equal her testosterone output as a man. She can do it. But under normal circumstance, a man has 10 times more. Now, that testosterone, when man build that testosterone, he's going to build muscle mass. Those cells going to come together and build strong muscle mass. And so that is a good form of testosterone. But a bad form of testosterone is dihydrotestosterone. Dihydrotestosterone is a compound hormone, a mixture of estrogen and testosterone. Now, men have testosterone, men have estrogen, but men have a small amount of estrogen in comparison to a woman. Now, woman estrogen helps her to be feminine. It gives her a whole female characteristics, which is different from a male characteristic. It programmed her to produce a baby. And for that baby to develop from one cell to a whole large mass of cells that formulate a living human. So estrogen actually is the forefront of progesterone, testosterone, and other female hormones, but estrogen is the main one. So if a woman do not have the proper balance of estrogen, balanced with progesterone, she won't be able to conceive. And so that means that she will not be able to develop a child from one cell to a whole cluster of cells. She won't be able to do it. Now, what if a man start producing more estrogen than testosterone? And that estrogen transform his body, where that man start actually growing cells. And those cells in particular affects the prostate gland. You see, testosterone and estrogen is almost like twin brothers and sisters. They're very similar. They have similar functions, and they can go through what we call an aromatase process. That simply means that testosterone can be converted to estrogen. Estrogen can be converted to testosterone. Under abnormal circumstances, that can take place. So under these circumstances, if a male testosterone go through the aromatase process and produce more estrogen, it's going to affect his body. It surely will. First of all, it's going to affect his hair follicles. He would probably lose his hair on the top of his head. He's probably become bald on the top of his head because that high level of estrogen competing with testosterone is very offensive to the sensitive hair follicles. So his hair falls out. You get bald in the top. So also, if that estrogen level increase in a man, he's going to develop more prone to develop more belly fat, and his breast, chest to become more fuller. I'm not going to say he will develop a full breast, but he will develop large breasts. And so he will lose his stamina, his strength. He's going to lose that. And so now he is being physically transformed into a woman, not mentally, not psychologically, not spiritually, but physically. He's being transformed because hormones can change you. If a person wants to go through a sex change, they simply practice hormonal therapy by simply giving the opposite male or female hormone to convert them to another person. And they can do that. They can make them grow breasts. They can make them grow hair. They can effectively change their voice. They can do all of that by manipulating the hormones. Nature itself can do that without the aid of man, by simply introducing components in the body, putting stress in the system. You can actually change and transform the way your hormones supposed to operate and begin to operate abnormally. So I'm simply saying that estrogen, if it increases in a male, it will unite with testosterone, make dihydrotestosterone. Dihydrotestosterone is a combination of estrogen and testosterone. But once testosterone combined with estrogen, it is 10 times stronger than the male healthy testosterone. That's too high a level of testosterone in the male. Now, see, can you understand this? A young man, he go to a urologist, and the urologist says, son, I just did the PSA test on you, and just check your blood, and your testosterone level is off the chart. It is high. You are at the most fertile time of your life. You can go out and repopulate the world. You got high testosterone. And the man leave out of there smiling, the young man, feeling strong and energetic because he got a good prognosis. Then an old man come in, he listened to the conversation. The doctor said, I've just did a PSA test and a blood test on you, and your testosterone level is too high. You are in danger of having prostate cancer. He said, well, wait a minute, doctor. You just said that young man's testosterone level was real high and he's healthy. And you said mine's is high and I'm impotent and I'm weak. And you say I'm dying. He said, that's right. He said, but how can he have high testosterone and be healthy and I have high testosterone and be dying? Well, you see, there are different types of testosterone. And you have the type that is not good. So you had a bad testosterone mixed with too much estrogen, which increased your testosterone level. So when I did a blood specimen on you, your testosterone was extremely high. I hope that makes sense to you. So now, how do we effectively deal with that? And if you're working with a person that has prostate problem, your regular urologist, he's going to give them medication that block the testosterone, inhibitors that would inhibit the testosterone. Or he could castrate. If he castrate the male by removing the testicles, he could remove both testicles, or he could remove one testicle. And that will bring down testosterone level. And that's going to bring on impotent. They're going to bring on loss of stamina. You see what I mean? That hormone testosterone controls a lot. So, but now that's going to extend that man's life because you see that testosterone is what's feeding the cancer. In other words, if every man, once he gets 40, 50 years old, went to the doctor and said, castrate me, and he castrated him, and all the men in your community got castrated, had his testicles removed, guess what? There would be no prostate cancer. But they all would be impotent. They all would lose a lot of stamina and strength. And now, and I'm not advocating that. I'm just trying to show a crude illustration how these hormones can really effectively change us. So, but they do have medications that can reduce it, that inhibit testosterone. So what do they give to inhibit testosterone? They give what? The opposite counterpart to that is estrogen. So if you got a male hormone that is too high, you give a female hormone to a male, guess what that's going to do? That's going to what? Bring down the male testosterone. It would do it. And so that would inhibit because the estrogen will use up the testosterone, combine it into the estrogen, making dihydrotestosterone. And by doing that, it's going to bring down your testosterone level. They can do that, but they have a control. See, now, it may seem like I'm speaking against it, but really, doctors have figured out how to control it. they can give a certain amount of this medication that can inhibit. If they give too much, it can stimulate. So dihydrotestosterone can actually cause a problem, and it can fix the problem. Do you understand that? That's why it have to be regulated. And see, chemical drugs is very delicate in that, but God has encapsulated these components in nature and herbs and food in such a way that it's not dangerous to work with. This process may be slower, but it's not dangerous to work with. So in essence, when you're working with prostate, you must be able to control that testosterone level. Now, if a male is obese, then his body fat will make estrogen. That estrogen is going to unite with his testosterone, making dihydrotestosterone. If he's eating bad, high-calorie foods, then those foods also can increase estrogen. And so they're high estrogenic foods that can increase the level of estrogen in a man's body. Soy, which is a phytoestrogen, can increase the estrogen in a man's body. Flaxseed can do that. Now, take a look at this now. Soy, flaxseed can increase the estrogen in a man's body. Can do it. But what about broccoli, carrots? They're phytoestrogen too. Can they not also increase the estrogen in a man's body and cause him to have a worse condition if he had prostate cancer? So if I gave him green juice and vegetables that God said was for the healing of the nation, would that increase his possibility of prostate cancer? No, God forbid. Wouldn't do it. Well, but you said that it's a phytoestrogen. It is a phytoestrogen. But God has so encapsulated essential nutrients in such an arranged way that it will inhibit and not destroy. And so man have isolated these nutrients out of plant source, isolating them by processing them, and they don't have the companionship of the associated nutrients. And so they can actually cause a problem. So, and then God said, take it in moderation. So if a man drinking soy milk, which I do encourage, if you have prostate problem, drink soy milk. Now, I'm going to seem like I'm contradicting myself, but I'm trying to really explain something to you. If a man has prostate, I encourage him to drink soy milk versus, say, any other milk. But there's a but. If he drink it in moderation, it can actually inhibit the dihydrotestosterone or the bad testosterone. It can suppress and hinder and stop the progression of prostate cancer because it inhibited it. But if you drink too much, it can actually cause it to grow and get worse. That's where moderation comes in. So if you're drinking at least, consuming at least soy in some aspect every other day, you are feeding your cancer cells. You're doing it. But now, if you would turn around and drink carrot juice and green juice and vegetable juice every day, 3 times a day, you won't do it. And the reason you won't do that is because the vegetables has fiber and roughage in it. That fiber and roughage slows down the assimilation of that phytoestrogen in that food so that your body can process it at a little slower pace, and it actually can help and help nourish your system instead of bring a destructive form in your system. And this is probably why herbs work, because herbs also fortify with essential nutrients, and they can actually do the same thing. So there are some wonderful, one of the best herbs is uh, peppermint and spearmint. Spearmint is really one of the better herbs to deal with prostate. And it's a simple, common herb, but it's really one of the better ones because it inhibits that bad testosterone. And there are many others. Shiitake, reishi, green tea. Green tea is really good. Turmeric, curcumin, they all are really good. Saw pimento. But the problem with these herbs is that most people do not know how to take them. They all got it, they all know. Well, if you got prostate, take saw pimento, take green tea, do that and, turmeric. And their selection of herbs may be right, but how are they preparing it? You got a 200-pound man, and you're giving him 1 to 2 capsules of herbs. And I see that, then I know that person got the mentality of the medical system. Because see, the medical system, they can give you a little pill, and they said, make sure you don't take no more of this little pill once a day. You take it 2 days, you're gonna make yourself deadly sick. And they're right. Herbs don't work like that. They don't work like that. They're not that concentrated. Are you following me? So 1 little pill or 2 little capsules of herbs will do nothing for a 200-pound man. Absolutely nothing. Now you give it to him in capsules. That means your body, your digestive system got to be able to break those herbs down, extract the central elements out of it that will act on the prostate, and you got poor digestion. You got poor assimilation. So how are you going to extract something that you don't even have the digestion ability to bring this about? But you take these herbs and you say, I'm going to trust God's plan. And when it don't work, you what? You blame God. Subconsciously, you blame God. Because you know how you blame God? Because when it don't work, you turn back to the medical system. That's blaming God. You say, well, I tried, God, I tried that, it didn't work. So now what? You go back to the medical system. When you go back to the medical system, they tell you, well, you waited too long. You shouldn't have been on them herbs and all that other junk. If you come long ago, we could have cut your prostate out. We could have gave you chemo radiation, and we could have extended your life and gave you a little more time. That's what they tell you. Mm-hmm. So, but if you're working with someone, you've got to know how to prepare your decoctions, your extracts, your tinctures. You got to know how to do it, how to prepare your teas and everything, your tonics, in such a way that it would get enough nutrients in the system that it can actually do that. So what I do, if a drug is, if you're taking a drug that's 500 milligrams, I want to try to get my herbs in strength, in proportion, as close to that as possible. Are you following me? And herbs comes in milligrams and grams and micrograms and so on. It comes like that. So you can calculate how many milligrams in a teaspoon of herbs and increase that. And with the right extraction, you can make it as equal as before in potency as drug medication without any toxicity. Now, let me give you an example. Talking about breast cancer, and I'm gonna come back to prostate. The most effective, well, I'm not gonna say effective, the most powerful chemo drug in existence is Taxol. Taxol. Taxol is the #1 chemo drug for breast cancer. Guess where they get Taxol from? The Pacific yew tree. They grow on the Pacific coast, all the way from Alaska, all the way through California, all the way through South America. And there are many different yew trees all around the world. So they already know. They know. It works because the extraction is to extract the most potent chemical out of the U plant, encapsulate that into a drug, and presto, it is the most powerful chemo they have. Okay, so now what if you want to use the U tree as a tea? All right. And you go and you get one little peel of U tree. Would that be effective? Would that be equal to strength or close to the strength of the little peel that the pharmaceutical company makes? No, it wouldn't be. And so you got to learn how, you should learn how to do extraction. You're going to learn that when you come to our school. We're going to show you different methods, what you can increase the potency of herbs. Most people don't know how to do this. You can increase it 10 to 20 times its strength, and then help in the assimilation process. And you can use carrier herbs to take the herbs where it needs to go. If you're working with brain cancer, you need to get those herbs across the brain barrier. How are you going to get them across the brain barrier when the brain barrier prevent any herbs from crossing the brain barrier? Not only do it prevent any herbs from crossing the brain barrier, it prevents any drug from crossing the brain barrier. No drug can cross the brain barrier unless it's forced to cross. So how are you going to get the herbs? How are you going to treat brain cancer? How are you going to get across the brain barrier? You think that's something? How are you going to treat lung cancer? Do you know you have a barrier that inhibits anything from crossing the lungs? It inhibits all protein from crossing the lungs. Have you ever tried to eat something and go down the wrong way and you get gagged and choked and everything? That's a brain barrier. It's saying, look, no protein or substance can come in the lungs unless it can be used for the betterment of the lungs. That's a brain barrier. But sometimes we eating fast and go down the wrong way and it ends up in the lungs, really have an attack with coughing. So typically, nothing can cross the brain barrier except it's going to bring nourishment to it. How are you going to cross it? So how are these herbs and stuff going to cross the brain barrier and get in there and effectively work to repair the damaged brain? Not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Now, when you eat nourishment, so if you eat vegetables and greens, and collard and spinach and carrots and kale and cabbage and broccoli, guess what? Those nutrients go to the liver processes them and sends them in the bloodstream. It takes it right to the lungs, it takes it to the brain, it takes it to every organ in your body. But it have to bypass the liver, and the liver had to convert it. And the liver will send it to those areas where it needs to go. And guess what? It can cross the brain barrier because the way it crosses is sugar. Now, let's just slow down a little bit because I don't want to lose you right here. You see, the digestive system must break down all elements to sugar. I know some of you saying, well, now this man is going off because sugar causes cancer. Sugar absolutely do not cause cancer. That's the most ridiculous thing. And biblically, I can prove it. And I can prove it scientifically too, biologically. Sugar do not cause cancer. Please extract that, because when you tell doctors that, they laugh at you. And chemists, every chemist knows that everything you eat and consume but water is converted to sugar. The cells function on sugar. And every scholar, biblical scholar, knows that God gave man fruits and vegetables. Fruits got sugar in it. Are you telling me that bananas, apricots, grapes cause cancer? Well, that's what people are saying. They said, don't eat no fruits because fruits gonna cause cancer. It feeds cancer cells. But then God gave us some food that feed the cancer cells? Now that don't make sense. stop and reason. Oh Lord, open their eyes that they may see. You never done that. The sugar that they process is what can weaken your immune system and enable your body to develop cancer. That's a big difference in causing cancer. The processed sugar weakens your immune system, and that, with a weak immune system, allow cancer cells to migrate and cause destruction. Big difference. So now God said the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nation. Man said, don't eat nothing sweet. You got sugar in it. Everything, vegetables, beans, grains, all got sugar in it. So when we consume these foods and our digestive system is working properly, we extract the essential elements, send it where it need to go, convert it to sugar, and sugar can cross the brain barrier. How about that? So now let's talk a little. I'm gonna come back to prostate, but let's talk a little bit more about breast cancer. This is another big mistake, and I'm hoping that during the training we're gonna really get into it. And I heard the preliminary question and answers, and I thought it was real nice. They said how many cancer it is. It's a little over 100 different types of cancer, but they're all related to some degree. But there are different types of breast cancer. I'm gonna go through a few. You got estrogen or hormone-driven breast cancer. Hormone, estrogen. That means that estrogen will stimulate the growth of cancer cells if it's abnormally high and cause breast cancer. That's estrogen-driven hormonal cancer. Now, how are you going to treat that? Well, we're going to give carrot juice. We're going to give soy. We're going to eat fried food. We're going to eat veggie meats. Are you with me? You're going to do that. You're going to eat chicken, or at least we eat fish. Eat fish, eat chicken. You're going to eat dairy products because you need the strength. And in doing that, you're feeding the estrogen level. You're going to eat devitamized food, which is going to increase your calorie intake. And that large calorie intake is going to make you gain more body fat. And the body fat is converted to estrogen. You're going to eat food lacking in roughage and fiber, which is going to cause constipation. You're not going to drink much water, so you're going to be dehydrated. All of that going to increase your estrogen level. Now you're stressed out because you've been trying to do God's program, but it don't seem to be working. So you're all stressed to the max. And guess what? The stress causes estrogen. And now your hormones are out of balance, and your home life is in shambles, and all of that is disrupting everything. So you see the dilemma. That's just one type of breast cancer, hormone. How are you going to treat that? Stop being a notebook book doctor. You know, I read this, give it to that person, let them try it. That's what most people do. They're textbook doctors. Don't have no fundamental knowledge of physical knowledge, how to work with disease. They're textbook. They're experimenting on people. And they turn around and talk about the doctors. No, doctors practice in medicine. Well, most medical missionaries are practicing herbal medicine because they ain't come to a full understanding of how to deal with it. They just very smart, and can expound, and they're ready to go and try to cure the world. That's not right. That's practicing a lie. Somebody, well, have you ever worked with lung cancer? Oh yeah, I can do that. I can deal with that. You've tried this herb, you try that, you try this. Don't do that. Have some practical understanding, training, some background on what you're doing. And then you go and try to help somebody. So what do you do with a person with hormonal type breast cancer? And what do you do with a person with prostate problem? I'm combining both of them together because you're going to see you treat them both the same way. You see, prostate is too much estrogen in the male, combined with testosterone, making dihydrotestosterone. Woman with hormonal breast cancer, her estrogen level is too high. In some cases, that 10% testosterone, that 1% or 2% testosterone in her body unites with her estrogen level, and that can increase her estrogenic level, along with eating a lot of estrogenic foods, living a high stress lifestyle, very toxic. That can increase her estrogen level. At that point, now the same treatment that treats prostate is the same treatment that will also can be used to treat hormonal breast cancer. And the treatment is reduce the estrogen. Reduce the estrogen in men, reduce the estrogen in females. So the same herbs that you use for prostate, you can use those to reduce the estrogen level in females. If you don't understand that, then you really playing a Russian roulette game with a person's life. So you want to have the proper selection of herbs. You want to have a proper selection of diet. Nutrition is so important. And we got some wonderful vegan cooks. One of them is Natalie, my dear sister. I love her dearly. She's probably listening, but she is good. She's a raw food chef. Now, I just wish people would use her more. This lady is off the chart what she can do. And, I depend on people like her. Yeah, I can eat, drink juice and do this here, but no. I don't know how to prepare that food in a way that people would enjoy it, that they can stay with it. The first thing people want to know, how long do I supposed to eat like this? Because all you're doing is getting them a raw salad. That's it. You need to use these God-given nutritionists and dietitians. You really need to use them. And so, and there's a lot of them out there. So I'm just putting that little plug in there. So you want to put them on a diet, prostate and hormonal breast cancer, put them on a diet that a lot of vegetables. You want to do that because the vegetables is phytoestrogen. And you want to keep it in at least 85% raw. I'm not going to go 100%, even though I love 100% now. Don't get me wrong. But most people, it's not going to maintain 100% raw diet. So I'll make concession 85, maintain, don't go under 85% raw. Has organic juices, and practice good hydrotherapy. All this you're going to learn in the class. And you're going to learn what type of juice machine to use and why you choose a certain type, and that every type of centrifuge juice machine is more detrimental to your health than can be an aid to your health. So just because you got a juice machine that spin like a blender and make juice, you making a deadly cocktail. So you need to be able to press out that juice without destroying the oxygen molecules in the juice. So you need hydrotherapy. So with hydrotherapy, that means you need fever bath, you need steam bath, you need salt globes, you need poultice, you need different wraps and so on, salt baths. And one of the ones that I'm really fascinated with, oxygen therapy. You're going to learn how to do ozone treatments here. Beautiful sister. I mean, she's doing a wonderful job. Sister Campbell down in West Palm Beach, Florida. If you're ever down there, visit her clinic. This lady's working miracles. Ozone therapy. That is a powerful treatment. Do you know that the oxygen level in the patriarch days and Adam days was 35% higher than what oxygen is today? The oxygen saturation is 35% higher. Now, if you take 35% hydrogen peroxide, drop in, bleach your skin white and burn you. Are you understanding? That's pure oxygen, liquid oxygen. In Adam days, the 35% oxygen level was a normal oxygen. That's why they grew like that. That's why they were so big and tall and strong. That's why they could outrun a horse, and they could rip a lion's mouth in two. It's because the oxygen level was different. So we're going to teach you how to do ozone therapy. And I'm a great advocate of surgery when it's necessary. You're going to learn how to do herbal surgery, how to go in and remove tumors without actually cutting a person with a knife. There are different ways you can do this. There are different herbal salves, which most people do not know how to use. And I don't advise you to use them at all, because you're doing butchering people up and you're not helping them because you don't know how to do it. And so please don't practice that unless you're really skilled in herbal surgery. Another one is cold laser treatment, which I am a big fan of cold laser. Not hot laser, cold laser. You're going to learn how to do cold laser therapy. All right? So you're also going to learn how to do herbal chemo. So herbal chemo is, if I'm working with breast cancer, I have to put together herbs that will be more effective, be the most effective for dealing with hormonal-driven cancer. You're going to learn how to do that. Also, you're going to learn how to put together herbal formulas. Now, I have an herbal formula with over 200 formula charts, over 200 formulas. And you're going to learn how to put together these herbs and formulate these herbs. I've been working on this probably for the last 10 years, formulating herbs. So you're going to learn how to do it. I have a chart, a booklets I wrote on how to formulate herbs, how to chart herbs, how to chart herbs. And you chart their strength, and then you can mix them together based on their strength to formulate them into a powerful tonic. You're going to learn that. Also, you're going to learn how another breast cancer is called HER2. Very difficult breast cancer to deal with, HER2. You got HER2 negative, HER2 positive. Now with HER2 negative, it's really more difficult to work with than HER2 positive. See, when you think of the word negative and positive, you think, well, positive got to be bad. Well, all cancer is bad, but negative is worse. You see, when a person has HER2 positive, they have a protein, a HER2 protein, that is causing the growth of that particular type of breast cancer. Most medical missionaries don't know this. They treat all breast cancer the same. That's why their cure rate is so poor. Even though I didn't go to medical school, God knows I didn't have to go. God sent me to the mountains. But I can tell you one thing. I studied like I've been to medical school. I understand their language. Okay? And so the HER2 protein is what caused acceleration of this type of breast cancer. If I treat estrogen-driven breast cancer, and you got HER2 positive breast cancer, it's not going to be effective because the hormone estrogen protein is different from the HER2 protein. and it's not going to be effective at all. And this is why you need to know that every breast cancer is different. They need to be formulated different. You can't treat them all the same way. Now, third of all, triple negative breast cancer. That is the most difficult breast cancer to work with. That means it's triple negative. I mean, it's don't have a protein in it that stimulate the growth. It just don't have it. And so consequently, hormone estrogen, HER2 negative, HER2 positive, have no effect on it. You can try all them treatments you want. It's not going to work. Doctors know that. That's why they don't treat HER2 with estrogen drugs, because it don't work. So with triple negative breast cancer, it is an immune problem. The immune system is so depressed that it cannot produce an immune response. So you got to know how to build up the immune system. You're going to learn that in school. Also, you're going to learn angiogenesis process. Angiogenesis process. Angiogenesis is where your body grows blood vessels to feed abnormal cells and tissue. Your body will grow these blood vessels to feed abnormal cancer cells. And this is one of the most beautiful science I've ever gotten involved in. Now, what it is that the cancer is under 3 centimeters. In order for that cancer to grow, it needs oxygen, it needs nutrients. How can it get it if it don't have blood vessels? It sends out a chemical to the bloodstream and stimulate the growth. It stimulates the growth of blood vessels. And so it will send it out. And it'll send it out and grow and stimulate the growth of blood vessels. And so where these blood vessels grow, it will then feed oxygen and nourishment to the cancer cells. And that's how it will grow to 6 centimeters of 10 and so on and so on. So that's the reason why the understanding of angiogenesis is so important. And we're going to teach the science of angiogenesis. Do you know the most wonderful thing to deal with angiogenesis blood vessels is, you know what God has given us? Berries. God has given us berries to deal with that. Blackberry, blueberry, raspberries, all type of berries, strawberries. They have elements in them that can destroy these angiogenesis blood vessels. So we make a tonic called anti-angiogenesis. And we're going to teach you how to make the anti-angiogenesis tonic that can drop these blood vessels and stop the feeding of oxygen to those areas. So this is some of the things I just want to talk to you about so that you can get a clear picture for those that want to take the course and the course in May. You're going to learn how to do it. And also the training week we'll have here on our campus, which starts real soon on the 21st of April. We're doing a 30-day physician training course. And, you know, we got some openings. So if anybody still want to sign up, call us right away and you can get to train on campus. Nothing will replace on-campus training, nothing. I mean, Zoom is good, it's okay, but nothing like being here. Most of the people that's in this work that we've influenced are the people that have come here, taken our training, and has gone on to do wonderful things in the medical world. So, and still working in it. So But I thank God for Zoom. We're using it today. But, it's kind of like what the word said, nothing will replace the living preacher. You can have all the televangelists you want, but nothing will replace a living preacher. And that's the way it is with the medical world. So now with lung cancer, this is a cancer that, it's very devastating because, if you can't breathe, then, you're going to have major problems. So we will show how to deal with this lung cancer problem and how to restore the respiration and how to reduce the amount of mucus forming foods and how to help and aid the body's ability to digest and assimilate foods. So I'm pretty much have come to my end. I just want to share those things with you. I really appreciate everybody coming on. I want to leave some time for some questions. There's no way I can answer the question of 295 people, but I do want to try to entertain some of these questions. So I'm going to stop, allow you to ask me some questions. I'm going to turn it over to the moderator and I'll let her, she knows best how she want to go with this. So I'm going to turn it now over to the moderator, back to the moderator.
Thank you, Elder Wilson. Thank you very much. You have given us food for thought, and we are really appreciative of all the information. And I know there's so much more. There's a wealth of information that you have. And so one of the questions that persons have been asking in the chat is they need to know how they can sign up for the training. They want to have more information on how to join the May 2024 class?
The easiest way would be to call my office and they can tell you how to download the application. Well, for the May class with Pastor Cuckoo, you're going to have to contact him.
Okay.
May's class, because that's going through him. I'm simply a servant under him.
Okay.
But now for the class here at our facility in Tennessee, you would have to call my office.
All right. So I'm going to ask Sister Rhonda to put the information for the May 2024 class in the chat. And I'm going to ask you to just take that information out for those of you who are interested in joining that class. Sister Rhonda is going to put it in and you can just take it out. I see, let me just get all the questions in the chat and then I'll come to the hands. Okay, well, the recording of this, okay, so our recording is on YouTube and I see Sister Camille James post the YouTube link. So if you want to get this specific recording, the link is in the chat. All right, I see somebody, you mentioned Sister Natalie. Somebody wants to know if she has a cookbook available and is there a contact number for her?
I do have a contact number, but I don't have it in my head right now. But if you contact me, I can put you in contact with her.
Oh, okay, not a problem. So we will get that information from you and then we'll post it to the WhatsApp chat or WhatsApp chat. Okay, so somebody wants to know, does herbal chemo work on other cancers such as multiple myeloma?
I make over 200 different types of herbal chemo. And I make a particular tonic, herbal chemo for multiple myeloma. Yes, I do. St. Jude Research Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee, specialized in leukemia and lymphoma. And I was born in Memphis, Tennessee, so I remember when they built the hospital. Mm-hmm. They were getting a poor track record in treating childhood leukemia and lymphoma. And they switched their chemo drug to a chemo drug made from the periwinkle plant, or two different types of periwinkle plant. Mm-hmm. And when they switch, they get almost 90% cure rate. That's a drug. Yeah. But that herb is so powerful that they, from having a 20% success rate, almost a 90%. And so that convinced me that there's some powerful elements in plants. So, and so when I work with a person with leukemia or lymphoma, I use the periwinkle plant. And as people in the Caribbean, they know this plant. They use it for high blood pressure, they use it for diabetes. The people in the Philippines, they use it also for cancer. What I try to do is, I know that people are listening to me in different parts of the world. They cannot always get the herbs that we have here. So I study herbs in their region. Like if you're in Jamaica, or you in the Cayman Islands, or you in Fiji or Australia, I study the herbs. You're in Europe, England, India, I study herbs so I can formulate an herbal chemo for your area so you don't have to depend on North American herbs.
Okay, not a problem. Somebody wants to know, can we do chemotherapy and herbal medicine at the same time?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I'm working with somebody right now that has a condition, and they think about, using chemo. And I'm glad you asked that question, because this will allow me to explain it. You can, and you cannot. On an average, chemo strength is about 80 to 90% strength. That is too toxic. They have a mild chemo and they have a very strong chemo. Most of the time they start off with a mild chemo, and then that leads into the strong chemo.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that strong chemo is too strong for herbal medicine and wipes it out. And so I don't advise even wasting your time with it, because it wipes out your whole immune system, and your white blood cells cannot produce phagocytosis. So that'd be a waste of time. But it can, by simply taking the mild form of chemo down somewhere between 10 to 20% chemo, taking that with herbal chemo, and taking that with a natural insulin.
Mm-hmm.
And you can take it with metformin, a small amount of metformin, or herbal-based insulin, which we make. Now, the reason why, this is where you're going to have to come to school on this, because this is really fascinating. The reason why we give insulin, natural insulin, or metformin, with our herbal chemo and with the 10% pharmaceutical herbal chemo, it helps as a transporter of the elements in the chemo to the cells.
Mm-hmm.
At 10 to 20% strength, chemo is not strong enough to kill out all your white blood cells, but it's strong enough that it can reach every cell in your body. As it goes there, it's going to take the herbal chemo, it's going to take all the other things that you're doing, and that herbal chemo can be quite effective in destroying the cancer cells. That's when a person is not responding at all, then we will, if they want to go chemo, we will tell them they can take a mild form of it.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Now, the question that was asked earlier about the number for Sister Natalie, I'm seeing her number posted in the chat. Elegantly Raw Cuisine, her number is 254-373-6184. So it's there in the chat. You can access it from there. Okay, do you do Zoom classes? Well, I think he already answered that question about Zoom. He says it's best to come to the campus than to do it on the Zoom, but do you do Zoom classes outside of the campus?
We will do virtual Zoom class right along with our own campus training. So our Zoom class is set up where you will be as if you're there. You'll be asked questions, you'll be given projects, you would have to share your project. It's the closest thing of being there, and you're not. So people say, well, I want practical training, but I cannot come. You're going to get practical training on Zoom, because we're going to watch you.
Okay.
Okay.
I have another question here. Someone is asking, can RBTI be used as an early detection method for cancer?
Can you repeat that again?
Can RBTI be used as an early detection method for cancer?
I don't know what that is.
Kate King, can you break down what RBTI is or give us the actual wording for it? All right, is microcalcification cancer? That's another question.
Now, I'm familiar with microcalcification. And they want to know if that can be used as a way of detecting cancer. Can you repeat that question again?
Georgina is asking, is microcalcification cancer?
What's she saying about it?
That's all she asked. Is microcalcification the same as cancer?
Well, all cancer is cancer.
Okay.
And micro means small. It's anytime it's under 1 centimeter, it's not even, can't even pick it up. It's micro. So yeah, it's still cancer. But it's, from my understanding, anything, all of us have cancer in the micro stages, nearly all our life. It's only when cancer get past 2-3 centimeters when it's a big problem.
Okay. All right. So I see we have some hands up. Let me see if they're still there. Yes. Maris. Oops. Maris, can you please put up your hand again? Dr. Ephraim.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Elder Wilson, I have been doing some research and I have two questions, two things that I want to know if you've heard about this. The first one is, they're now saying that cancer is an intracellular parasite. It's parasites that actually causes cancer. And the NIH has several research on that. And that was one of the main reasons too, why during the COVID period that they didn't want ivermectin to be used by individuals. Have you done any recent research or have heard anything about this where they're saying it's actually caused by parasites? And there are lots of research on the NIH that's indicating that.
Well, I mean, I'm quite familiar with this, but I even do better than that. Ellen White made it very clear that cancer is have a viral component, a living viral component, and that it could be contacted. So we know that cancer, it don't shed like you know, like the COVID virus, but what it does, it leaves genetic material behind that replicate its life to the other cells. So that's my understanding of how it works. So yes, but under all cancer is a component of parasites. A parasite is a foreign, see, when you think of parasites, you want to think of a worm or a bug or something. No, it is a living element living in a host of another person. So that's the parasite. So don't look at a parasite as some wiggly worm in your system, but it's a living host, a living substance living in a host of another person. Like a mushroom is a parasite.
Correct.
Okay, so yes, it is, because once that spike protein get in you, then it is an offensive protein living in your body. It's a parasite. And cancer is a living protein in your body, living off of you. And this is why a lot of people make a big mistake. They say, I'm going to fast the cancer out of my body. And they go on these prolonged fasts, you know, thinking that they're going to starve the cancer cells. You cannot starve cancer cells. What happened is the cancer will feed off of your filth and feed off of your tissue in your body to supply its need for protein. It's a parasite.
Okay. And another thing, Dr. Shen did some research and he's now saying that coconuts can destroy all cancers. He said you could take the coconut itself and put boiling water on it, and it would become alkaline, and you could drink that daily. He also said you could warm, well, he said hot coconut water. So let me use the exact word. Hot coconut water. And he is saying that what he found, that it had no effect on the good cells, but it destroys all cancers. He said not just some, all.
Well, I mean, it's easy to prove that if that is the case. You know, enough cancer people out there to try it on. I'm not familiar with that technique. I'm not doubting that. It's a wonderful book written on coconut cure, and it can do a lot of things. So I'm not doubting it. But I think something as simple as that, you need to try it. I've never proven that. I never disproved something simple like that if I haven't tried it. And that I have not tried.